Okay, so I'll just introduce the show and then Trace will introduce you. Welcome to Oh Brother, Not Another podcast. We are an official Apple podcast and on many other platforms. And my name is Miggs Burrows.
And I'm Trace Burrows. And if you like the show today, please leave a review. Today we have the group Bonham-Bullock. There's a little dash in between there. Use an ampersand. Anyhow, it's comprised of husband and wife, Deborah Bonham, sister of legendary drummer from Led Zeppelin, John Bonham, who had her own previous albums and has toured with Robert Plant, Foreigner, Paul Rodgers, Jeff Beck, Van Halen / Humble Pie, and many others. And Peter Bullick, who's also toured extensively in the UK and Europe, who's an electric guitarist and songwriter as well. So thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I apologize for Peter not be. He can just stick his head in. He's just running out of rehearsals because we're off tomorrow.
Yeah, on your tour. Were you going to Belgium as the first? Belgium is your.
And here he is. Now he's just doing his hair for you.
Oh, good. Oh, good. That's important. We wouldn't allow you on.
I did that hair on the left.
That very good. Yeah. We wouldn't allow you on if you didn't do your hair. Thank you.
Well, seeing as you guys are so booth-fronted, I thought, you're setting the standards here, so I better get sorted.
Well, thank you very much for making a cameo appearance.
Yeah.
We've got to get back to rehearsal.
Okay.
Well, you have a new album. You've had 2 albums, right? And the latest one is Can't You See What You're Doing to Me? Is that just come out?
That's the single, yeah. That's just come out. Okay. Yeah.
What's the album called?
That's the single. The album's just called Bonham-Bullock, and it's just come out 29th of April, and on Quarter Valley Records, who are an American-based, California-based rather, a label, and have been fantastic. So yeah, we're really excited.
Do you recognize this guy behind me?
I do.
So I have a little Albert King story. So your single Can't You?
Yeah.
Is that a young Albert King?
It is. It is.
So we saw Albert King came to our little town in the 1970s. There was a little club here. We were only a town of 24,000 people, tiny little town, a suburb of New York. And there was this great little club called the Players Tavern that had amazing acts: James Cotton Blues Band, Richie Havens, the Ramones, and Albert King. So I was there. I asked Trace. I don't think Trace was there at the time, but and it's a tiny little club with 100 people sitting around tables right on this little platform. And Albert King's band gets on. He wasn't there yet, and they're jamming and warming up the audience. There's a window behind them, and you could see the tour bus. And Albert King is outside with a squeegee cleaning the windows of the tour bus while his band is playing. So great.
I see on that painting, I can see. Can you see one of his teeth?
Yeah,
slightly discolored.
Yeah, right.
Slightly discolored. That's from smoking the pipe.
Oh, is that true? It's not a gold tooth. I didn't. This is by a famous graphic artist, Milton Glaser. I bought this poster years ago, autographed by Milton Glaser, who did this painting of Albert King.
So on your new album, you do covers of blues mostly. Describe your album?
Yeah, it is. It's sort of interpretations of some classics like the Albert King song. Mm-hmm. But there's also some contemporary as well, and some obscure. So it's all rooted in the blues, but with a bit of soul and a bit of rock in there as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's quite a sort of.
Which, according to Buddy Guy, is what the blues is thrown into a gumbo.
Yeah. So you've got a lot of great players on this album. What was your process in selecting them, and name a few of them?
Oh, well, no, it's the band, really. I mean, the band's the band, and that's Peter on guitar.
I keep getting out of the shot.
There you are. Gerard Lewis on keyboards, Ian Rowley on bass, and Richard Newman on drums. Richard used to play with Rory Gallagher and Steve Marriott. So he's got quite a degree. His dad is Tony Newman, who was in Sounds Incorporated and played with Jeff Beck and played with David Bowie. Yeah. So that is the band. And then, you know, as we were making the album, there were just a few things that organically came to mind that was like, oh, I really fancy some pedal steel here. And our dear friend BJ Cole is one of the greatest. So we just rang him up and he came and played, and then there was some.
I know over the past 15 years, BJ's played on 2 other albums of ours as well. Yeah. One of them he played on was Jerry Shirley was on drums from Humble Pie. Yeah. And whenever we were in the studio, the pair of them realised that they were last together in something like 1971 when BJ Cole played on a Humble Pie album. Yeah. So. They got to reunite nearly 50 years later on our album.
One of our albums, yeah. But on this one, it was just like it was just organic, really. It was, you know, the band laid it down, and then if there was, you know, specialist stuff like the pedal steel, or you know, 2 of our great friends are 2 of the most fantastic Hammond players, which is John Baggott from Massive Attack and Portishead. Also in the Robert Plant Strange Sensation, Strange Sensation band, and then brother Paul Brown, who plays with the Waterboys and was with great blues artist Bobby Rush, and also with the most amazing soul singer that I've ever. I love her, Ann Peebles. And I got to meet Ann Peebles through him. So it was just a sort of organic thing that the guests came on board. You know, we'd just be sitting.
They were all kind of people with either been
on mates, aren't they?
Yeah, we'd either been on a festival bill with them over the past 30 years, or we'd jammed with them, or just all that kind of thing. All people that we keep in touch with. So it was. And through the years, everybody that just says, you know, if you're doing another album, you know, I'd love to do a spot on it, that kind of thing. So we feel that, like for instance, one of the guys on there that plays bass, just on one song, we just let him play on it because he just kept asking us. So,
I mean, that's all we have to do.
Because, yeah, it's easy, and that came about when we did the 2018 tour of the USA and Canada with Paul Rodgers, Jeff Beck, and Ann Wilson. Yeah. Deborah opened up the show, and then Deborah's band backed Paul Rodgers for the whole tour. So we were Paul's band, Free Spirit. But Andy, the bass player, Andy Stoller, the bass player with Ann Wilson, was the bass player in Heart as well. So everybody on that bill of Jeff Beck group, Paul Rodgers, Ann Wilson, all the Heart boys, and Deborah. It was an amazing camaraderie. Everybody got on great, and you had 4 sets of crew as well. So changing over really quickly between everybody, just mucked in and helped each other, and everybody hung out together. So
and they kept wanting to get up with us. So
yeah, so we nearly had every single person from that tour on the album, but we couldn't fit them in. Maybe over the next.
We had to keep saying no more. No.
Maybe over the next 10 years we'll fit everybody in. So we better do another few albums so we can get everybody in that wants to be on there.
That's a great point.
Jeff would be there of all.
Yeah, great situation to be in. Have people clamoring to be on your tour. So why don't you describe your tour? You kick off with Belgium, is it? And then the Netherlands?
Yeah, we're off tomorrow. We're in Belgium, and then the Netherlands. And then we're in the UK. Then we're back to the UK, and up and down, up into go. It's the whole of the UK. Yeah. And then
we're back to France another half a dozen times this year, I think. Europe,
yeah.
That is if the paperwork goes through, okay? That's what I've been trying to get sorted because of Brexit and COVID and everything. We've got ridiculous, stringent new paperwork called carnets and stuff.
There's a lot of COVID.
Carnet.
They've just been calling it Carnet on the phone.
Well, they would because they're anti-France. I'm calling it Carnet.
So you never know. We might not actually get out the door.
We will.
This is the first stop on your tour right here.
We'll be swimming that channel if we have to.
Yeah, we'll start a little story on social media, get everybody all excited. Will they make it? Will they not? Will they? Ooh.
This is tense.
Oh, crazy. But we're hoping
to in Europe and UK, you know, for going out to concerts and that kind of thing, or how's that?
Is it opened up? Yes, yeah, very much so here now. But we just really hope we're talking to a great agent at the moment about coming over to the States for, you know, late in the fall or possibly spring 2023. But, you know, I really want to get over there this year. So, you know, I hope that we'll be able to come out there. Because we were out there in as Pete said, on that tour in 2018, which was fantastic. We did the whole of America. And then we came back out in 2019, did the East Coast and played the Cutting Room, which was fantastic.
Cutting Room, yeah.
Yeah, it was. We had such a great show. And then we went up to Daryl Hall's place, Daryl's house.
Yeah.
And
Woodstock.
House.
We did Woodstock, Lemon House. Yeah, so we got to see some great places.
Oh, and Asbury Park.
Asbury Park, we did the Wonder Bar in New Jersey. That was a cool hangout.
That was with Terry Reid.
Terry Reid, yeah.
It was fantastic.
And we did Levin's place for Terry Reid as well.
So yeah, we you know, and then we were all set to put the album out and
Terry wanted to be in the album. We said no, Terry, we're full. Sorry.
I was going to say that about Jeff Beck. I don't think Jeff did.
Well, the thing is with Jeff Beck, if you asked him to play guitar, he'd say, "I'd rather change the oil in your tour bus."
Why? He's bored of playing? Why?
He's just such a mechanic and such a petrol head.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I saw him.
He builds his own hot rods.
Oh, wow.
I know that.
Well, I saw him. I tell the story a million times because I was in England in 1965 and saw the Yardbirds in I think it was the Ram Jam Club in Soho.
65.
Yeah, 1965. And so it was Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, and they introduced Jimmy Page that night. So there was three of them on stage playing guitar with the Yardbirds at once. Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, and Eric Clapton.
That was the time. I mean, what a time to
and
be
you
in
were
London.
there, Migs.
Yeah, I was there on that
you don't look old. You don't look old enough.
Does he? Now, you see, if I'd have said that, you would have said, told me I was buttering him up or whatever.
I know, yeah.
But I was thinking...
What moisturiser are you using, Migs?
He's using my lines.
It was embalming fluid, I think.
I was just thinking that. I thought, wait a minute, 65?
Well, Trace went to London too a few years later, and we all went down there to Marquee and saw as many groups as we could see. You know, I saw the Move and
As Chandler threatened to castrate me. He did. It's another story.
Chandler. Wow.
So,
well, I don't know what you guys are drinking, but the water must be pretty cool there. You really don't look like you were, old enough to have been there.
Well, thank you. I'm 76. Trace is a lot younger. But...
You're what?
76.
Wow. My goodness. So you got the best of the music, the best of the times back then.
I know what it is. Miggs has got a painting from his artist.
In the attic, right.
Himself up in the attic, hasn't he? That's what Miggs is.
Oh, Dorian Gray.
Yeah. Dorian Gray thing, yeah.
You say, I'll buy your Albert King painting, but I want you to do one of it as well.
Yeah. Wow. Well, way to go! You look fantastic, both of you.
So Peter, what about your guitar lineage? When did you start playing, and what got you to this point? And
probably about 7 years old, I think.
I was about to say probably about 15 minutes ago.
No, not at all. I haven't touched it.
He's been playing all day.
Let's see if we can get it. How does that work? Oh, there we go.
Right.
And probably about 7 years old. My uncle was 3 years older than me, and he got a guitar. So anything he got, being so close in age, I had to get the same thing. So I got that, and the pair of us sat and tried to work out songs. which were from his big sisters, my aunts and stuff. So it would be the Beatles, Free, Bad Company, all that kind of stuff. And then we get into like Bowie and then Eddie Cochran and Chuck Berry. So we go backwards and forwards in what we listen to and as we learned a bit more, we go a bit, as we found out our heroes like these people from the 50s or the 40s, and we'd listen to those people. So it's a bit of a mishmash of how you actually got into the stuff the wrong way round or too late in the day. And you just played the vinyl record and you lifted the needle on and off and tried to copy it on your guitar. And, by the time we were about 10 or 11, we were trying to play as a band, and then so... I can remember them taking me out of school age 14 or something to play down in Dublin. And it was and I think my mother had to keep it secret from my father because he wouldn't have allowed that, me to go off with a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds. I think I might have been 13. But, a pretty early age. I guess you sort of soak it up like a sponge in your head. You learn so much easier when you're that age.
Were you in Belfast during all that up? Have you seen the movie Belfast?
I haven't seen it yet. I've heard mixed reports. So I'm quite optimistic that I might enjoy it, but I've heard some people from Belfast say terrible things about it.
Oh.
As Belfast people do, they just go, nah, rubbish. That's crap. that mob needs to take offence. Like.
How did you pick the music?
That's where he grew up, but it wasn't Belfast. I might look at it with a bit more of an open mind than my pals from home.
I think
so.
It looks good. And Kenneth Branagh is just amazing.
Well, he's a pretty cool guy. I like everything else he does. So, so I want to like it.
Right. Yeah, he's masterful at acting.
Yeah.
So how did you come to the collection of songs that you do in this album? What was the process? Did you both come up with lists and go yes and no and all this? How did that work?
Really, it was about 100 songs all came together from about 3 different friends. One was a friend of ours not far from you in Princeton, Gary Nesbitt, who was helping us out over in America not that long ago. And he was like a walking jukebox, he's just got so many great things and knew how we played and how sang and da-da-da-da-da. So he sent some. Then we had another friend, Roy Williams, a dear friend that I've known nearly all my life, sound engineer for years and years and years for Robert Plant for his solo career. And so Roy sent me loads and loads of songs, and then Robert sent me some. So, and then there was the stuff that I picked. So you didn't get to pick anything, really, did you?
No, I didn't get it. I just had to play songs by women that Robert Plant had squeezed.
But apparently that's a big list. That's a big.
Well, that's the blues. It's all about squeezing.
Yeah, but if somebody else's squeeze, you're supposed to squeeze your own.
Yeah, it's sloppy seconds.
Oh, shut up! You've got to go back to rehearsal. This is terrible. So all the songs came together, and it was quite easy. I got about 100, and then it was quite easy to whittle them down, just because I know the band so well, and I know what we can do and what.
Yeah, so any that had more than 2 chords, you went off, the band would be stuffed.
You're really on it today,
okay,
aren't you? So
you can see why you guys get along so well. Right?
I just
I've got the bruises.
Oh, you will have in a minute. I'm going to set the dog on you. So I just went through. I just know what these guys. We've been together and we've been together 31 years and probably playing in a band for 30 years.
This could be my blues album.
Yeah.
My bitch done beat me up and set a dog on me.
Well, there you go. Good luck with that. Off you go. I know what they can take on and how far we can go, and where they're comfortable and where I'm comfortable. So it wasn't that difficult to narrow the songs down, really. So, yeah, and it was great. I mean, there's some fantastic stuff on there. The one that did freak him out was your man behind you, you know, the Albert King song.
Yeah.
That freaked me out almost as much as going on stage after Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a fantastic solo. I mean, I encourage people to. I just, you know, if you downloaded the song or the album, whatever. But yeah, your guitar work.
Well, that's what, you know. I just thought I needed something on that album that just brought it up tempo. I just wanted it because when we play live, it's such.
I think it just shouts out to people and say, "Hey, this is a blues record with a."
Well, it's a live band too. I mean, with
a live band having a good old play. I think it kind of gives that kind of
when we play live
message. And once we got over our fear about sort of playing Albert King,
aren't you supposed to be rehearsing?
I am supposed to be.
I'm just trying to get this out.
Can't get him off screen.
Look at him. I mean, now he's like, oh yeah, he's got the whole story.
You're going to take my purse and go.
Your man purse. No, please stay.
The thing, the pink, yeah, it's nice colour, Pete. Yeah. Anyway, it was just, you know, live as a band live, it's a real kick butt band, you know, it really does step up. And I just felt that everything was just a little, you know, mid-range. So I just wanted something that Pete could really go at. But you didn't thank me, did you? Because it's Albert King. You know, how do you tackle an Albert King song? You can't copy it. I didn't want to copy any of the songs because, you know, they've done it the best. So you've got to bring your stuff to it.
I think when I got my head around it, I think I just played in the spirit, you know.
Yeah, you played you. And we changed
played me in the spirit of going for it, like Albert played himself going in the spirit of Albert. So
that's what this whole album's about taking those songs and doing it our way, but with total respect and keeping an eye on that respect for the original artist, you know.
So if you really want to be true to it, you have to clean the windows on your tour bus, you know.
And do you know who does that? He really does do that.
I've been doing that all week.
He's been cleaning our tour bus ready for tomorrow. That is no lie.
Yeah, that's what Albert did. No shame in that. That's what Albert did.
Yeah.
And a mouse got into it during lockdown and ate all the snacks that we left in there. From the tour that got cancelled, all the snacks were still in there, feeding the mice for 2 years.
And they were having a little party.
Yeah, had a scoop out. Yeah,
got their guitars and their harmonicas.
Cleaned the windows and scooped up the mouse shit.
That's funny.
So our listeners we have to ask you about Led Zeppelin, you know, before we end the show. So Deborah, I don't know what the kind of question to really honestly specifically ask, but okay, when they were huge, I guess that was in the beginning, in the 70s, I guess.
Decades.
Yeah. How did that affect you? What was, you know, did you
your first
go to their shows?
Your birthday parties?
well, you know.
Guys, I'll shoot off back to the other guys that are sort of standing there in the studio. So can I say goodbye and thanks a lot and hello all the listeners and stuff. Hope to get over there to New York State to see you guys.
Hope you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And there's some beers and see that picture up close to see if it is the tobacco stain from.
I think it was a gold tooth, you know.
I think it's from Albert's pipe.
Okay.
I'm going to look into that. Thank you.
Can you send us a close up of that? Just the tooth. Yeah. Great. Guys, Big Trace, great to meet you.
Yep.
Thank
now,
you.
Please
go do some work. Go rehearse. And don't make any mistakes.
get up.
So he turned into a dog.
Domestic bliss at work.
So what was?
Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
You know, when I was 6, both John and Robert, I think that they had just had the call, or Robert had come around to see if John would join, and they'd had the call from Peter Grant. And I had a 6th birthday party, so the pair of them played at it. And you had all my little friends. Oh. They were playing the greatest music. So for me, I've just, all I've known is this type of music, and then it's grown from, what John would play and my other brother Michael would play. So I got into the Motown and the soul and the deep blues, and then all the West Coast and Hendrix and everything. So, my little friends would be there, and they're like thinking, what on earth is this? They're 6 years old, and I'm going, come on, let's dance. So it just, it didn't really dawn on me until later. And I think when I went to Earl's Court in 75 would be really when it dawned on me, because I first saw them in the late 60s as well, or the early 70s. But I saw them a couple of times early on when I was very young. And, it was a game changer for me, because I just sort of sat there, and it was like being transported to another world. So, and I was this little kid thinking, oh, my goodness. And I almost forgot that it was my brother on stage. And then, then it would dawn on me that it was. So I saw them play to, 2,000 people, and then fast forward, and we're at Earl's Court, and they've sold out 5 nights, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it was really great. But a lot of my girlfriends at school and everything, you got to remember that Zeppelin were huge in America. They were big in the UK as well. There's no two ways about that. But it wasn't mainstream, it being played on the radio every day. Oh. So David Cassidy probably was, and the Osmonds, so a lot of my girlfriends, or the Jacksons, so they were all playing that. And of course, I'm like playing Led Zeppelin to them, and going, yeah, but Led Zeppelin, my brother's in them, and then of course I saw them at Nebworth, and 100,000 people, it was just phenomenal. It was just, wow. Yeah, I mean, you see, John, away from Led Zeppelin touring, John was a real family guy, every weekend there would be some sort of family party get together, and the jukebox would go on. He had this big jukebox in the corner of the room, and then a drum kit set up. So he would then start playing to various songs on the drum kit, and then he'd had enough of that, so he'd drag Jason out, who was, from the age of dot. Jason was like, come on, get up, get on that drum kit. So there was Jason playing away while we were all dancing, So it was a really lovely, lovely family upbringing, it really was. We were all very close. So it was very different to whatever the side of the Led Zeppelin and touring, and of course it should be, because family life and home life is a completely different ballgame.
Were you aware of the demons that were sort of chasing him? I mean, it's so tragic. He's top of the world. I mean, the best drummer, considered the best drummer ever.
I don't tend to think about it, because it can be just a bit too heartbreaking. Yeah. And it doesn't go away. I'll tell you that, it doesn't go away. And sometimes it can be like picking a scab, and I have to just go, because life does move on, and you've got to keep going. And whatever happened, whatever has happened, well, that was it. There's nothing that I can do that will sort it out now. On a
brighter, how's Jason doing? What's he playing?
He's great. I mean, Jason, he's got his life going really, really well. He's doing great. He's got his own Led Zeppelin Evening, I think he called it. It's Led Zeppelin Evening, and it's fantastic. And if anybody's going to do Led Zeppelin, yeah, it should be him, because he his playing is just phenomenal. Jason's got his own style as well. So when he plays with Sammy Hagar in The Circle, which is a great, great band, and Sam is a beautiful man, Jason plays as Jason, and I noticed with the Led Zeppelin stuff, he'll add in Jason in there as well, which is a great thing, because he's just a phenomenal drummer. So he's just constantly busy and playing, and he's really well.
I was surprised. I looked into this. I thought, oh, Jason, he's probably 30 years old. He's 55 years old.
Really?
No, he's 55, yeah. Jason and I grew up closer age than myself and John and Michael. John was 14 years older than me, and Michael was 12 years older. So John and Michael were very tight in brothers and in age. And I was the kid sister. So, did they treat me like the kid sister? Yes. I was the baby sister. So I could never get away with anything, really.
So Jason, does he have a drummer? Is there like a third level, another...
Is there another Bonham in the works there?
Bonham drummer in the
I think there is. I know that Jason's son, Jagger, is doing music now.
Oh.
And his stuff is great. Jagger has a scary resemblance to his dad, his grandfather, rather, when John was young. He looks very like John when John was young. Sometimes I look at him and I'm like, looks just like John. And so, he's doing his music. He's songwriting. It's very sort of today's music. It's sort of rap, pop, but it's great. Yeah, no. So he's busy doing that, and he looks incredible. So it continues on.
Do you have other siblings that other siblings?
No, just John and Michael, and unfortunately both of them have gone.
No.
So, but I'm close to Jason, and I've got my nieces and nephews. John's daughter, Zoe, I'm very close to. Michael's two, James and Emma, I'm very close to. So, we've always stayed tight, no matter what. I mean, when it all sort of happened and the world sort of paved in for us all as a family, we've stayed tight, So that's good. We're all there for each other.
Well, we want to thank you. We're out of time, and we just encourage everybody you're not coming to the U.S. for this tour, but it's the Bonham-Bullock album, and the single is Can't You See What You're Doing to Me?
And it's you can find it on iTunes.
iTunes, anywhere.
Yeah, Amazon, Spotify, it's everywhere,
Everywhere.
It's everywhere. But we will be out there. We're going to be there, the end of this year, in the fall, definitely. We're going to make that happen. Oh. Just like we're going to make this Channel crossing tomorrow happen.
I hope I'll sign the papers if you need us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much for doing this, and thanks, Peter.
Thank you, and thank you for having us on your show, and to all your listeners, thank you very much. Thanks. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.